All right, I'm going to do this Dr. Paul from the other show. Let's see what Dr. Paul is like. The totally different energy. I mean, I can feel the age group of this guy, this Michael Osterholm. Dr. Paul's a different age group. You can tell. Just a minute. I mean, it's just such a completely different energy that it's actually making me a bit exhausted and dizzy. Just to switch energetic gears. Just a minute. Okay. What I mean by that is this Michael guy, from the Joe Rogan show, he reminds me of like the older generations. He comes from a time when things were slower. People were a little more religious in a way, like they had manners based on religion and based on, whether or not they were going to hell. Like people had a different type of manners back then, different type of respect for each other, different type of responsibility to doing the right thing. He does have, this Michael guy has a good heart. You can tell he's on the slower side because he comes from a time when things were slower. And he does kind of come from that type of energy. This Dr. Paul is a totally different energy. He doesn't have the same ingrained rules of respect energy. Not that he's not a respectful guy. Because he could very well be a respectful guy, but it's not because he's going to hell after he dies. Like it's not because it was ingrained from the beginning because he went to church school every Wednesday and church every Sunday. The rules that he lives by, the integrity is different. Totally, totally different integrity. And that doesn't mean that he's, there's nothing here saying that he's a corrupt person by any means, Dr. Paul. It's just the difference between the energy decades where they were born. Like the energies they're working with to express their own identities. Very interesting. Dr. Paul is so I basically walk into lots of colors and of spots and it makes me think of infectious disease, the pictures that you could see if you were to search coronavirus. You would see all these different balls of different colors and sizes and shapes. It's different like this. It's the first thing I walk into. The next thing is I'm going down some stairs and he has this secret basement where he studies, or he does his work or something. His secret work. He has no demons. I'm here and I'm showing him that there's demons in the dark and he's just totally ignoring me. His levels of fear just, he does work on a more spiritual level than this Michael guy works on more of the old fashioned human level. This Dr. Paul, he knows about spirits. He because I'm kind of testing him to see, and he's totally ignoring a shadow of all kinds, just totally immersed in whatever is on his computer right now. He doesn't even go there. He doesn't even, that's not, he doesn't feel vulnerable to that concept at all. But he understands it in a way, he knows about it, but he doesn't feel vulnerable to it. And this also goes to the demons within the human race. He's not afraid of the demons within the human race either. That's why he can talk about what could be conspiracy theory related topics, because he's not afraid of the demons inside of human beings. And he wants to speak out. He wants to share those types of messages. That's very, 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 very different, because Michael Osterholm is very, he wants to work with he's very old-fashioned, and I get where he's coming from, and he's a realist as well. Dr. Paul is, let me just keep looking here. He's definitely high energy. He's definitely boinging around constantly, boing, boing, boing. He's a constantly jumping around with all this energy. His energy is just constantly off the hook. and he's just like like his fingers on the computer keys are just like, and he's just like his energy is just like he's like so freaking high energy. It's crazy. And man, if you were in here, you'd just be like, God, man, he is like a bouncy ball at 100 miles per hour off of the ceiling, the floor, the walls. Like, so you could see, that's why I got so dizzy between Michael and Dr. Paul, because totally two different energies from two different, like, actual decades of self-expression and identity. Is so interesting. Still waiting to get him to just acknowledge that I'm here. He's just too busy, like, in his mind. He really is very much so, like, constantly diving deeper and 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 deeper, and he has the energy to do it, and he has the passion to do it, and he's not afraid of other people's demons. So you can see his character, okay? Michael isn't, that doesn't matter to him, other people's demons. He just wants to get the message out in a way of realism that's also considerate of people's feelings. And he wants to help people to not be afraid as well. He's just a very grounded man. He works with realism, and he struggles with how people process information, because they're just always jumping into things. They don't take the time to just stop and think. That's his struggle. Man, Dr. Paul is just like, still waiting and waiting for him to just, like, he's so busy in his mind with diving deeper and deeper and deeper. Like, I still can't get to the other side of him. It's actually pretty cool. There's just something amiss here. Like sometimes he needs to slow down. It's interesting because this Michael guy could teach him a few things about slowing down. He instantly stops and he says, "Why do I need to slow down?" He kind of felt a little, like, defensive. Like, no amount of slowing down is going to help me get ahead. I need to keep learning here. I say, wow, see, so you stopped in order to have a conversation with me, so you could learn something. So if you slow down, then now you're having a new experience. But if you keep going at this pace, you're just going to dive more and more and more into yourself, really. And what interests you and intrigues you without getting alternative perspectives. He's very much so on his own path. He reminds me, I mean, Joe and I do this too, where we just really don't want to hear other people's perspectives because we just need to hear it from inside ourselves. And we believe in ourselves. We trust in what we know. We trust in ourselves. He's very much so like this too. Because that means that he believes in himself. He believes in his own mind. He believes in his intelligence. He believes in what he's learned. So, he very much so believes in himself. And there's nothing anybody else could tell him that he couldn't figure out on his own. He's very much so like this. Joe and I are also like this. But I'm starting to learn the value of getting to know other people's perspectives because it's enriching. Just to hear other people talk, it's enriching. He's very busy. Like, he gets it. He must be so ridiculously smart. This Dr. Paul must be just so ridiculously smart, because he's already 1,000 chess moves ahead of this conversation kind of thing in his own mind. So he's already back to his computer kind of thing. But he is still, like, attuned in and waiting for me to say the next thing. He is choosing to give me a chance to share my thoughts. But he's a multitasker too. So he's got like 80% of himself focused on what he's learning here, and then 20% is like waiting for me to say something. I'm telling him that I'm analyzing him, and that takes time. So he's going to just have to be patient. I'm doing that on purpose because he's just like, I'm teaching him how to slow down. Kind of funny. He is actually respecting of that because my energy is helping his energy to slow down. And he hasn't slowed down in a while. It's like that Michael guy. There's just so much noise and communication. Like he's so needed by so many people. He has to process through all of that sound, this Michael guy all the time. And same with this Dr. Paul is like, but it's a lot of his own very loud inspirations, his passion. He's not used to slowing down because there's just so many reasons right now to be busy, really, really busy. I say, but if you're too busy, you're going to miss something. Like there's almost like something in the world that it wants to speak to you. But you have to slow down in order to actually hear it. Mm. All right, this has nothing to do with the coronavirus. So something else about him. I'm in a dark, sticky place right now. It's kind of like a swamp made out of black tar, like a tar black swamp. And there's creatures here, and I can hear the sound of animals, like a jungle in a way. He is stuck, he says. And he says, you can't get me unstuck. He's already accepted this. And I say, well, you aren't stuck, my friend. And maybe you need to realize that you're not stuck so you can change your circumstances. This is a super big deal in his life, by the way. What this is about, it's a life changer. It has nothing to do with coronavirus. In fact, he doesn't even feel like, I mean, he's more interested in a different type of conversation. He's so like fast thinking that he's already done all the thinking he needs to do about coronavirus. He's already made all of this up his mind. He already knows everything. Like he could ever think about it. He's already thought through it. His mind is so smart and so fast. Like what would take me a year of contemplation, probably 20 years, he would be able to do it in a week, you know? Like that's how smart he is. But he can't figure this one out. It has to do with life, some kind of life thing. All right. He's actually asking me for help because he's big enough to acknowledge that he's not perfect. I mean, this Dr. Paul guy is actually, I mean, this is another sign of somebody who you would want to know. Like, he wants to work on himself. Sometimes he feels like he hits a wall, right? He gets very ambitious about his own thoughts. Like, that's actually pretty cool. So he's showing me a wall. He has very little fear, just so you know. Very, very little fear. It's impressive. Because I keep trying to show him what's on the other side of the wall is this big scary monster. And he's just like completely, he's like, no, it's not. Like I'm just, he's not falling for it. He's like, he's not afraid even to open this door. I mean, he's very little fear. It has to do with something that he has to see inside of himself, and it isn't a monster. It's almost like his childhood self. He really will say that this is no monster. There aren't monsters. Like he will say it like that too. It's actually really cool to hear someone so confident that there are no monsters, but it's because he already understands the concept of a monster and what creates one. That's why he has no fear of it. And he also does understand, like, he's more of a spiritual guy, so he could understand that. I mean, he could talk about alien beings, for instance. Like, he could talk about things that could be fearful, but it's almost like he understands his purpose too. Man, he's so fast. Like, even for me to talk through, I'm already, it's like, man, I'm still trying to finish my sentence here. And he's already like blocks and blocks ahead of me on, like, he's like already at the horizon here. And I'm just trying to finish a few more words of analysis. He's just so fast. All right. I'm still trying to admire him for not being afraid. Like, I'm literally just standing here admiring him, but he's already talking about so many more things than this, and I can't catch up with him because he's like, his mind is so smart and so fast. I say you need to slow down so you can just let me appreciate you. I don't think I've ever run into anybody who doesn't have fears like you. It's actually really something that I need time to myself to just appreciate that. Now we're going into like a darker cave. This is something he doesn't understand. It's like you could say it like this. Let's say he has a reoccurring dream, not saying he has one. However, it's like having a reoccurring dream and trying to figure out what it's trying to say to you. But you have somebody here that is so ridiculously smart. If there's something they don't understand, what does that mean to somebody who seems to understand everything? Now, there aren't any monsters to him. So inside this cave here is something he doesn't understand. It doesn't have the tools or the ability to understand it. Do you see what his problem is? Why he's stuck? It has to do with some inner child type energy. I mean, there's an inner child energy just slathered all over the place in here. I don't know why. It may have nothing to do with this lifetime as a child, but it just is full of inner child energy in here. And there's crystals everywhere growing on the floor and the walls. They're beautiful crystals, like super gorgeous crystals. And he says that his mind runs a blank when the scene comes up. When he sees this, it's almost like a memory that was removed from his own head, like something that was once there, it was deleted. He has to know the meaning of this. It's like the meaning of life in a way. But it's like he can't access it. No amount of intelligence will get him there. And he is quite spirited, so he's passionate, so he does work with heart energy. And I tell him that the key to the answer to this one. Okay, it's a multi-dimensional answer. I'm talking to him a lot right now. Let me figure out how to just put it into language here. I'm telling him that it's like showing him about disconnecting from like what you define as the problem. What you define as like he's almost in awe that this is so perplexing, which creates the attachment and the inability to get past that because there's nothing that he can't figure out. I'll be honest, I think this Dr. Paul is telling the truth about what he saw. He's not afraid to just say it like it is, and he's quite passionate. He's extremely smart. So I'm telling him I'm showing him how to disconnect from it, but I'm also showing him how to just simply look at it, and then you need to use your inner child in order to find the answer. Because you're going to have to play with this, like pretend that you're in this cave and that every single one of these crystals is your best friend. So this cave is full of souls, for instance, And now you need to get to know every single one of these crystals and to hear the story of each and every one of these souls. And the only way you're going to be able to find the answer is not to use your mind, is to use your imagination, is to use your inner child. It's in his heart, actually. The space is. That's when his mind runs a blank and he comes back and he's like, I need to know the answer to this. And he shows it to me as though this was the very first time we ever looked at it. It's quite creepy. It's like as soon as the answer comes to him, it's immediately deleted from his mind. And then he again is brought back the reoccurring dream. Like it's like this. It's a mystery. So I'm touching his third eye. Why is that? There's a weird force field around this thing. This is complicated. This could take me a while to figure out, like 15 minutes. I know that doesn't sound like a long time, but in the energy world, that's a long time to figure something out. And I'm questioning whether he's ready for this yet or not. You know, I'm here for a reason. Must be ready for it. That also has to do with his sacral chakra. There's also self-esteem energies in here. Like, you could be smarter, the smartest person on the planet, but what good is that if, you know, you're put down for stupid reasons, you know? Who knows? Like a kid getting put down for being ugly or something, you know? Like, kids are mean. So it doesn't really matter how smart you are if people don't like you because of stupid reasons. His mind is so far ahead of all that, but it isn't because it's unresolved inner child issues. And he's disconnected, like dissociated himself with them. And it feels like school type stuff, school problems with other kids that just were not nice to him at all. And I'm telling him he needs to resolve this. He has literally dissociated a big chunk of his energy from that. So he's separated himself so he doesn't have, he's dissociate from it energetically so he doesn't have a relationship with it. That's why he keeps forgetting the moment that I present the information he needs. He forgets it because he's dissociate from it. He has to be reconnected to it in order to start working on it. It's kind of like the Lock and Key show on Netflix, where they have the key to the mind, and if you remove memories from there, they're gone. However, they still exist. You can always put them back in. But it's almost like you become dissociate from those memories because they've been removed, you know? I'm going to give him a chance. I will say that Michael's life, like, back to Michael again, like, there's something that I really cherish about he's just a very real, works with realism. He has a responsibility or duty to his words and to saying the right thing that is the most effective way to help the most people. But he's also very needed, but he really just tired, you know, he's older. But he's really kind-hearted. He's a very good listener. And he's patient. And Dr. Paul is very smart. And he lives by his intelligence. And he's passionate. And he doesn't have any fear. So he'll say anything. He doesn't care if it freaks you. Like, I mean, he'll say anything. But he's quite bright, you know. Like, he's a really nice person, too. Like, there's a lot of good qualities here about them both. And I'm helping him to reconnect his energy with this so he can start working on it. It's going to help him with whatever his purpose is here. He has a very important purpose that he's going to participate in. He hasn't reached it yet. It's going to happen probably in the next 10 years or so. It's going to become a very big purpose, like an essential big purpose. And he needs this inner child energy. He needs connected to it in order to actually be able to participate in that big purpose. Man, it's really hard on his sacral chakra because I start to connect him and his sacral just starts, there's like a screaming person inside of there. And obviously, damage from child, because kids are such affectionate and like lovers. You know, they're cuddly and snuggly. That's their sexuality. That's a kid's, because kids aren't sexual beings, but they're so cuddly and they're just full of love. So that's their sacral chakra. You know, so if there's mean bully kids at school, for instance, that's very damaging on their sacral chakra. All right. This is a very good start to this process. He's not used to having challenge, let's just say. And me starting to reconnect the energies here, it's like plugging the cord back into the wall is going to give him access to the memories again. It's going to give him access to the forgotten things that he can't understand. It's going to give him the ability to, I mean, that's probably why he has no fears. It's almost like he disconnected some really big aspects of his inner child. But reconnecting him again. He's starting to feel more human to me. Like more sensible in a way. Like more okay to be vulnerable. Okay to be emotional. He really works like a really fast-paced computer, and that's his niche, and he pushes and pushes and pushes that niche because that's his strength, that's his superpower. But this is diversifying his superpower, which is going to make him an even more special person. All right, there you go.